Hi, this is Nancy Yearout, and welcome to my show, High Road to Humanity. In every episode, I tell you powerful true stories filled with great wisdom that you can use in your own life as you strive for a higher road to travel. My featured guests will have their own unique stories to tell that enlighten your mind and your soul. So kick back, relax, and learn the secret to success when you take the high road.
First touch, strong connection, it lays deep in your soul.
Hey, this is Nancy Yearout, and welcome to High Road to Humanity. And I have a fabulous guest with me today. Celestine Star is here, and she has a wonderful book. It's called The Galactic Earth Council, Reintegration of Earthkin and Starkin. And if you're watching me on YouTube right now, I'm holding the book up, and I have to welcome Celestine Star to High Road to Humanity.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here, Nancy.
I'm so excited you're here. This is going to be a fabulous show, you guys. So you're going to want to share this one. But let me kind of preface the show with what this book is about and what we're going to be talking about today. So I'm going to read a little bit from her book. So sit back and relax. And here's what she says. Today, more people are becoming aware of what has been called the UFO phenomenon. But very few outside of our government have had firsthand experience with ultra-terrestrials or extraterrestrials, ETs, on an ongoing basis. Now, the Galactic Earth Council book is intended to lay the groundwork for fellow researchers and seekers looking for answers to long-denied questions about the true nature of humanity and the existence of extraterrestrials, ultra-terrestrials, easy for me to say, and beings from outer space. Disclosure is official. We are not alone. And that is what we're going to talk about today on the High Road. So I'm so excited she's here. Now, before we get into it, two things I want to talk about. One, I want to read this headline from the New York Times. It says, COVID live updates, New York dropping school mask mandate, indoor vaccination rules. And it says, Mayor Eric Adams said on Sunday that New York City was preparing to eliminate school mask mandates and vaccine requirements for restaurants, gyms, movie theaters by March 7th if reports of new coronavirus cases in the city remain low. And it's a long article and I won't get into it, but it's about flipping time, don't you think? So, Celestine, do you want to say anything about that one?
Oh my gosh, I think we're overexhausted, we're overexhausted from this whole mask and mandate. It's kind of interesting. You walk in a restaurant with your mask on, but everybody has their masks off because they're eating. And the imagination is that the COVID virus is just going to stay there, when you put your mask on and protect you. But that's
it's
just
bad.
One of the madnesses that I'll remember always from this time, and it's precious. And we have to go through it, but it's time let's move on.
Let's move on. Let's get past it. So that's good news for today. The bad news is, and I don't know, I'm up in the air and I'll ask you what you think about this, Celestine. Here are the latest updates on Ukraine, and God bless the people there. Ukraine and Russia officials sat down for talks on the Belarus border. France's Macron held separate phone calls with Putin and Zelensky. Staunch resistance is hampering Russia's advance, Britain says. This goes on. The U.S. expanded sanctions on Russia. There's a lot going on over there. Now, I got to say something about this. I'd like to have some of you guys who have relatives over there. If you know what's going on, email me, nancyyearout@gmail.com, because I have a feeling, and I had Maureen St. Germain on the show last week, and she said, Nancy, this is all smoke and mirrors. And Celestine, what do you think?
I take a breath into this. This is definitely deep state. It's very well orchestrated. You can see the maneuvers. I think if you follow the money, you'll run into a little bit of Biden owns properties in there, and they're speaking about places where there's trafficking and drugs, and you hear in the Ukraine is pretty corrupt. There's a gentleman that sent it out that he lived there all his life, and he approved. But there's also on the other side, Russia, some people call Putin an avatar coming in to shut down the cartel there. But when you look at it, when you take a step back, I see, watch the birdie, it's a distraction. We know the financial system is collapsing. And when you don't have finance, what do you have? You have power. And so the distribution of power, the distribution of people's lands, taking over people's lands, trying to get whatever money they can get, that's the overall global thing that's happening.
Right.
I think we're still in the end game, and we're looking at Canada. And the one thing we do not want in America is martial law, even though the
Right.
truckers are going there, because that takes away the rights and slows that process down. But so I think it's really still, we're on the road to gaining our freedom here as a global species of humanity. And that's the focus, is just hold to the higher, and don't get amored by what's going on. And yes, they're doing bombing, excuse me. I heard that they bombed a bioweaponry.
Yeah.
site.
Yeah. And I've got some of this down here. Russian military reported its nuclear deterrent forces have been put on high alert following Putin's order. More than 500,000 people. Yeah, it goes on. I don't mean to sound unfeeling for the Ukrainian people, but I
That's right.
don't believe it all. I don't believe it.
There's too much orchestration here.
Mhm.
I did see a video of Russian soldiers dancing with Ukrainian brothers and sisters. I think there's an awakening to this one. People are just not going in, and so there's so many overlays that for me is to step back and just envision that whatever distraction this is, and may the few be harmed, may just let it be peace, just go
Yeah.
to the tables and let's get this over with. Another one of those, let's move on,
Yeah.
and people are seeing through the veils of what's really going on. And we have to be so careful that
I know. I
we have to
know.
be so careful what to say.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I want to read your bio. You guys, she's a really interesting lady. I'm so excited to have you here today. Dr. Celestine Star D.D has been called a woman of divine grace. For our evolutionary times, possessing great knowledge, wisdom, and expertise in many fields of endeavor. Dr. Star utilizes her empathic abilities for the betterment of humanity in her receiving universal knowing from her own higher intelligence and direct communication and guidance from her direct relationship with the ultra-terrestrials and celestial beings. Now, throughout her entire life, Star has been a celestial, ultra-terrestrial, and extraterrestrial experiencer. You were asked in 1985 to be the ambassador to the High Spiritual Council, the Galactic Federation, and the Star Confederation. This goes on, but I guess I want you to tell the audience your story. And what I read in here was that you were abducted when you were 7 years old. Is that right?
No, I had actually, when I was,
What was that? It was a
7.
near-death experience. Was it a near-death experience you
I
had?
had the near-death experience at 6 and gone through the light, had the reading. I met 2 beautiful blue beings who are still with me today.
Okay.
And they showed me to the reading of my life, which really happens. It's very interesting. And then I entered the Godhead. That's all I can say. It's there. It is as holy and as precious as it is written about. For me, what happened is we're speaking of a time we had left Alaska and we're in New Mexico. And there in Alamogordo area, they were doing atomic bomb testing in the time. It was right around the 60s. And what you have is our government and the secret, grouping decided to set off atomic bombs in the atmosphere.
White Sands.
Yeah, they let it off. And I believe there was 10. I'm still, I've asked people to send me reports and things like that, but people are, not really too willing to step forward because this was a heavy one.
Right.
And what happened when they did that, they ripped the sky in 2. So we literally almost destroyed our atmosphere. And for miles and miles, you could see pure black. I mean, it was the matrix. You could see outside the matrix. And then the other side of the sky was just normal. Hello.
You saw
sunshine.
this as a
Wow.
child. You saw this as a
I
child.
saw this and everybody for miles.
Because you know I'm
Okay.
in New Mexico and I've been. Oh yeah,
yes.
I'm in Albuquerque right now, and I've lived here for
So-
20 some years, and I've traveled and I've been to White
Yeah.
Sands and I've been to these
Well,
places. So
the Native Americans, because I have Croatan and my mother, you know, she's Croatan. So we would go to the powwows. They started gathering and they said they couldn't use the same words to call the ancestors. So they started doing the ghost dance, which was illegal since the 1930s or something, you know, 1830s. And so they did the ghost dance and we watched. I mean, it's literally snowed on one side of my house and sunshine on the other in a delineating line. Well, this called forth these huge these spaceships that were like disc shaped and miles wide. You'd be on the highway and you'd have this disc appear. All the cars would stop on the little freeway. It wasn't a highway then. And the Studebagers and all of those, the Fords would stop, everybody get out, watch it. It would silently go across the sky. And then, you know, everybody would just get in because their cars would start up automatically and off we go. Well, little did we know that we sent out a repercussion out into the universe. It was like an announcement, you know, inviting other intelligences to come to Earth. We wonder why. And by the way, they never left. But anyway, these big ones came in. These big ships came in with really high intelligent beings who were scanning and monitoring what was going on. Well, my stepfather got into watching the skies, and you know, he started calling himself a Martian. And so one day, without telling us, he decided to follow one. And he says, get in the car. And we said, okay. And he literally,
brothers and sisters or what?
I have a brother and my mother.
Okay.
We're all in the car and we're like, where are we going? And he wouldn't talk. He just wouldn't talk.
All right, we got to
And
go to commercial break. So when we come back, I want you
Oh,
to tell the
that'll be-
rest of the story. You guys, I'm here today with Celestine Star. I'm so thrilled she's here. The Galactic Earth Council is the book. This is Nancy. You're out. This is High Road to Humanity, and we'll be right back.
Welcome to the Ascension Institute annual program. It is my sincere desire to support you and to bring you to a new level of mastery that will allow you to serve humanity in the way you've always wanted. My name is Maureen St. Germain, and I have led this program for over 7 years. It is my sincere gratitude that allows me to offer this to you at this time. Check it out. Thank you for listening.
Hi, this is Nancy. You're out, and this is High Road to Humanity. I'm here today with Celestine Iisha Star. The Galactic Earth Council, Reintegration of Earthkin and Starkin is her book. And she's telling us the story of what happened here in New Mexico in Alamogordo. That's where they have all the nuts. They have a nut house there. They have a lot of pistachios in that area, and they have White Sands. But so what year was this? Can I ask that they did this
Let's see, I was
testing?
7, so that'd be 1960. It would be
Okay.
1960, yeah. just to
Okay.
sure.
So dad said, or your stepdad says, let's get in the
So
car.
Get in the car. So we're in the car and we're driving out. And I remember the freeway, we passed mounds of turquoise. You know, I was like, we're pretty far out there. We're in no man's land. I mean, nothing was out there. Where are we going? And suddenly we realized that a starship was ahead of us and that it was landing. Okay, so it was a beautiful silver disc. It was huge. It was like a mothership on the earth. And he comes into the area where it was landing. And as he slowed down, I mean, I don't even remember him parking. And the next thing I know, we were in the ship. So it wasn't an abduction in a sense.
Right.
They knew he was following, and
Right.
So we ended up in a room that had kind of metal tables. I don't know what the metal was made of, but I was on a table, and it was kind of an examination of sorts, like probably, is this man mentally ill to follow us, or what's going on?
Yeah.
So my brother was basically, we're all in the same room. My brother was literally freaking out, and we were with the tall grays. Okay. Because our family was metaphysical, in other words, we were raised to understand there were more intelligences in the world, like beginning with the elements, other dimensions. They worked in arcane magic. Our family was based in that. My mother and stepfather were with a cult. And so I had grew up in understanding there are other life forms. I wasn't really afraid as much as I was curious. And so as I looked in the eyes of this gray, they started to communicate with me. And they let me know that they were there to observe and to monitor and to try to understand why would we blow out the atmosphere.
Right.
And also they were concerned about the humans because we were being fed DDT. All the chemicals came back from World War II, and what they did was they put it in, like fertilizer. Unbeknownst to them, they were eating their own poison. The cows would eat it. It was in the milk. It was in everything. They were feeding cocaine in drinks to the children,
Coke. Yeah.
trying to figure out why were we hyper and out of our minds, and opiates in our cough syrup. So they were really doing kind of a research project, and also to understand and to stabilize the atmosphere, which took literally weeks. I mean, this was not something that was just, oh, you just blew it out and it's going to come back together again. So yeah, so that was the experience.
Wow.
And the next thing I knew, we were in our car back almost where, Alamogordo, we were almost back where we are home. And we were sitting on the side of the freeway, and nobody spoke after that. My mother was furious. She didn't want anything to do with it. And I don't think we really ever talked about it.
Really?
After that, yeah, I've never talked to my brother about it, other than one time where he said he still had the pictures of what he drew from that time.
Was he older or younger than you?
He was older by a year.
He was older. So you're about the same age. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was your first experience. And I guess one of my questions is right away, I've had so many different people on the show, and I wanted to ask you this. They talk about the Greys, they talk about the Reptilians, which we'll get to in a minute. But the Greys, I've been told they don't have souls. Is that right?
The gray that I was in communication with at that time definitely had a feeling of caring. So his intelligence level was very high. I could sense him reading me and knowing me, and really taking the time to calm me enough to where we could have kind of a conversation.
Okay.
I did a lot of work in the 1980s with people who were abducted because
Right.
hypnotherapy, past life regression.
Yes.
And
I read
one of the
that.
things that was very interesting is one night, the person who was my housemate had the door open, and I just happened to walk by and I saw the Greys literally pulling him off the bed. Now, he had talked about being an abductee, and there was like 3 or 4 little Greys around the bed, and they were pulling him off, and he was he was basically asleep but being pulled off and ready to be abducted. And I just made this loud sound, and they all just disappeared. So later, in association with Fred Bell, we were dear friends together, and he discovered that the smaller Greys were actually cloned because they had come from the future to warn us, actually. And also they had lost the ability through the mothers not being able to birth the children. because they used genetic food, which deteriorated the physical body. They weren't able to have the babies naturally. So they started cloning their children and they lost their emotional body. That was one of the reasons they came back, not only to warn us, but also they made an agreement with our governments and the space program to create hybrids of this time human, our time now, and their females, or their females. And so they got the eggs, and then eventually they were able to recover their emotional body and to make amends to their DNA. And I believe that's when they left. But at
Can I
the
stop
same,
you a second? So they
Yeah.
made a deal with our government to abduct people so
Yes.
that we could help them. And what did we get in return from the Greys?
They gave a lot of technology, the television resistors, a lot of electrical technologies and things for the future, the microwave, and, so there was technologies that was given to the
So
government.
that
at
was
the
an
time.
exchange. So Celestine, why have they kept? I mean, this happened in Alamogordo. We've had, we know Area 51 or 51 is here in New Mexico. We have Roswell here in New Mexico. I've been to Roswell too. I mean, why don't they just come out and say, okay, you guys, there's Greys and there are these reptilians and we made deals with them a long time ago and this is where we're at. Why not?
I don't want to presume that I know the deepest reason, but I do know that there was a lot writing on the amount of money that was made from the technologies. The secret force that was created gave them a lot of power. And I say to myself that they went into reverse consciousness.
Right.
So the object of the game is to control, to manage, to, cause harm. So they stepped over the line of their own humanity. And, there's always the ones that said, well, they can't handle this. But the truth is, the beginning of the underground bases, they pulled Bush Senior off to start the drug dealing and getting everybody addicted on cocaines and opiates to have the black money to start the underground bases. And this gave a lot of power to the United States government and to all the governments around the world. And it just has gotten out of hand. Now their hands are very, very dirty. I mean, they've destroyed people's lives. They've shut down they've made people mentally ill by saying, no, you can't say this. This wasn't true. They've wiped people's brains. It started the mind control programs, and the Ultra K, MK Ultra. So I think, to peel back the veil is really not in their nature. And that's okay. This is their life. This is what they've created. And humanity doesn't necessarily depend, our lives don't depend on them giving us the information. All of the information is there. Everything that you need about what's going on is there. And also the interstellar relations are there to help you to receive the information that you need if you go in search of it. You have
Right.
to just know how to step forward and step into it in a
Right.
safe and loving way. So that's
Right.
what I would say.
I think that's wonderful. Yeah, I will say that since I've been connected with the divine, with a higher source, with that vibration, I am more centered. I teach the audience to bring in the light every day and to connect to Mother Earth and bring up the light and bring down the light and to connect. And when you do that, you feel centered and you feel balanced and you can watch all this stuff go on. But I will say, the most important thing every day for me is to connect with the divine
There you
because,
go.
yeah, it really is.
Everything.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. It's not that difficult. We just need to connect and we get the information, and it keeps us healthy and it keeps us vibrant. Although there is some nasty stuff out there too, you guys, and we're going to talk about that too. We're going to go to commercial break. I'm here today with Celestine Star. Her book is The Galactic Earth Council. This is Nancy Earl. This is High Road to Humanity, and we will be right back. Hi, this is Nancy Earl, and this is High Road to Humanity, and I'm here today with Celestine Star, and her book is The Galactic Earth Council, and we're talking about all the different extraterrestrials that are out there, and there's a lot, and they have been here for a long time. I mean, they are underground. Now, I had Brad Olson on, and he told me they're destroying these bases up underneath New Mexico. He says, when I hear a really big boom, but hopefully I'll be gone by then. He said, no, that's the big one, Nance. But they're also, so that's going on. But there's also the reptilians. And I want you to talk about them because they're not so nice from what I understand.
You know, thank you, Nancy. I first want to say that most of your ultra-terrestrials, extraterrestrials, they live in a dimensional field that is adjacent to this one. You'll see the background that I have here. They live in a higher frequency, and this is the background here is the Syrian Council with the dark clouds here. So they interface with us in many different ways. Some of the earlier civilizations are underground, but that is sealed. And we know that the governments and the space programs do not go into their areas because they know how to defend themselves. And no, the Earth does not belong to just us. So I just want to give a clarity on that. And speaking about the reptilians, I could say that they basically appeared, their homestead was in the asteroid belt. That's when you started hearing all this stuff about the asteroid belt, and we were going to take ships there and land crafts there and start mining the asteroid belt's minerals. But in reality, the reptilians had come in, and they came in, and it was kind of a ruling over the little grays, and there was a lot of distortion about that.
About the time of Eisenhower, is that right? I don't mean to interrupt you.
I think right around the time of Eisenhower, and
Okay.
you know, this agreement to do research with humanities, biological, for the grays they needed for the skin. So women started getting yeast infections. They used that for the skin. Also to populate new children. They were taken onto spaceships. Now, the agreement was made with the parents. Later, you discover there was nothing done to a person without their agreement. And even if it was the parents and the children of the children, you know, there's always that. So we want to just say that, yeah, abduction is very interesting when you get into the individuality of the person and how they were connected to the government, how they, you know, why were they targeted, you know, why, you know, there's a
reason.
There's a reason. It's not just, oh, I'm going to go pick this person. Right?
Okay.
So I want to get clear about that.
Gotcha.
And then somehow the grays started coming, not the grays, but the reptilians started coming into the scene. Now, one of the things that was very powerful about the reptilians is they had certain technologies that the government wanted as well, but they could not breathe the oxygen. Now, there's different forms of reptilian, but the major ones that are 8 feet, you know, 6 to 8 feet tall, you know, most of them 8 feet tall, and they cannot breathe the oxygen, so therefore they couldn't walk on the earth, but they really did have an agenda to take over Earth. Now, that was one of the first ones, but because they couldn't, they made agreements to form underground places where they could exist and come and go as they please. And so they were working in direct unison. And so that's all been kind of shut down. And thank you for those who went into those tunnels, went into those places and basically shut them down. My experience with them was on Edwards Air Force Base, which is Central World Command in a sense. And my husband, Ernest Robert Hunt, became the chief of security over the whole base. Thousands of miles of underground tunnels leading to Alamogordo and different places, you know. But he started coming home, and his mental was not there. He would mumble, you know, those damn reptilians, you know. And I thought, oh, was that lizards? I'm like, what are we talking about here, you know? And eventually he'd say no, because our house was bugged, everything was bugged, you know, we were security, so we had to be watched as well. There was no way to really get into conversations. But one day, it was a kind of a national day of aerodynamics, and they let the public on. You know, this is a place where the space shuttle landed and things. And unbeknownst to me, you know, he took me out to see the space shuttle, and he said, "Here, take a picture," which showed that I was in a restricted area. And I didn't know. He was just gently, just, you know, offhanded. And so then he goes, "Oh, let's go over here. Let's park for a minute." And we went in, and I was taken down into the lower levels, and I was actually allowed to look on my own. He didn't say anything. He just kind of glanced over to the window. And as I looked through and I saw a true reptilian being, my whole body went into chill zone and fear, enormous fear. Although it had an apparatus on its mouth, I don't know if it was translator or breathing apparatus, whatever, my whole body just, so that has been with me. And soon after, we had the men in black, or what I call the Icemen, came, and our family was then put in a state of high level threat. My daughter was threatened. I was threatened to keep my husband in line. He did manage to get out of the situation. He left Edwards. He couldn't, he loves humanity too much. And he felt it was for us to let humanity know these are the things that are like, how do you handle that? What are you going to do? You can't just go on the base. These beings have vehicles that can destroy parts of Earth. Like, what are we going to do? So you see, that's part of how they have to hold security over certain things that are happening. You know, these beings showed up, they're doing whatever they need to do. And so I kind of honor them in their work. And as I say, we don't need to step into that space. We need to stay in our own lane, be with ourselves, but they are here. And Chernobyl was a part of releasing nuclear energy into the air. That's what they live, more radiated air. I think Fukushima might have been a part of that. It's still going. The radiation is still going off of Fukushima, you know. So we have to stay vigilant. We have to stay alert. We have to know that we're safe, and that we have the Syrian Council, which showed up. You know, we have these groupings that are there to protect us and to be with us and to help elevate humanity and to resolve a lot of this stuff that is going on.
I have a couple questions. One is, what do they want, the reptilians? What minerals are they looking for? Is it gold? What is it they're looking for here on the planet? Or
they want the planet.
They want the planet.
They're one of the few.
Still.
Most of them, you know, it's not about still, it just was opened. I mean, we opened ourselves when we
Did the thing. Okay. So now I've also heard that a lot of them are gone. Is that correct?
You know, from what I understand from my interstellar communications and the research, and there's some beautiful people like Kim Gogan, and she shares and gives updates, and pretty much I would say yes, that all of that is pretty much shut down. There's a gentleman who reports on the military going into the tunnels, and yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the other question I have is, you talk about these beings who came down to help us. At what point did they come to help us and protect us from this whole situation?
You know, they've always been here to protect us. There was a universal law that any groupings coming into the planetary system itself, you know, our whole solar system would have to check in with the Star Confederation, or, you know, the great councils and such. And so you just have a few of these reversed ones that slip through the net and just come in and do what they want to do. But I would say the Star Confederation and the Galactic Star Federation are the two that I have been interfacing with. that come in and protect the skies mostly all the time. In the San Francisco Bay Area, we have the Galactic Star Federation, and you'll see them in the skies every night. There was a time just of recent when the space program just was initiated. They turned on the microwave weaponry, and that is the 5G, 6G is a weapon.
It
And
is.
so,
Okay.
yes, I can guarantee you that. And the Death Star. And anyway, there was a push to claim this Earth through this working. And what it did, like Roswell, when they turned on what do they do at airports? They have that radar,
Right.
and the radar affected their ships, and that's what downed the ships in Roswell and stuff. You know,
Okay.
Fred Bell was a part of that. He actually helped invent the radar. And so they had to go and revise their ships. And just as that happened, turning on the microwave caused the Galactic Star Federation to have to revise their ships. So they dispersed and went into that other dimensional field, and in its place came the Syrian Council. And they are swift, they are fast. You have to go to break.
We're going to go to break. When we come back, that's what I want to talk about is the Syrian Council and your role with them, right?
Yay.
Okay. All right, you guys, I'm here today with Celestine Star. The book is The Galactic Earth Council. This is Nancy. You're out. This is High Road to Humanity, and we will be right back.
Welcome to the Ascension Institute annual program. It is my sincere desire to support you and to bring you to a new level of mastery that will allow you to serve humanity in the way you've always wanted. My name is Maureen St. Germain, and I have led this program for over 7 years. It is my sincere gratitude that allows me to offer this to you at this time. Check it out. Thank you for listening.
Hi, this is Nancy. You're out. This is High Road to Humanity, and I'm here with Celestine Star, and we're talking about the ETs. We're talking about the Galactic Earth Council, and I want you to tell the audience how you became involved with the council and all about it and the healing, and do your thing there, Celestine.
Do my thing.
Do your thing.
Well, I just want to say glory in the light of the radiant one. That is the mantra they gave me to greet each other. Glory in the light of the radiant one. The radiant one is their creator. And so we all have our creators, and they acknowledge the creator, and the creator moves all things forward. You know, we are all expressions of the great creation. So we learn by each other's lives what the creator has gone through. You know, we each have a purpose and a function, and if we get it down to that, we really honor that, and not so much the form, but there is an intelligence that has a purpose and a function, then we're really on the good path of bringing our species together in an elevated consciousness. Yeah. So my experience, you know, I could say started with the death experience. Of course, you come back and you're wide awake, and your 12 strands is operating at a high pace, you know, and having to kind of shut it down to be a 6-year-old in America, you know. And, you know, so slowly, you know, went to live in England, learned about ley lines. It's always been this progression of teaching me, you know, from New Mexico, learning the medicine wheel, the ley lines, and interstellar, because that's in the traditions. In my Egyptian background, that's in the tradition, the Syrian, you know. And so I started having memories of myself, not only in Egypt, but coming back through the stargates as a Syrian being. And I had this awakening of understanding that I was related to Aset. And as we came through the stargate, Aset, I was her twin sister, Nebuchadnezzar. And so I kind of awakened to that, and our sister Kuan Yin. So she was the Kuan Yin who went to Asia.
Yeah.
But we've been here 100,000 years, you know, we've been here for a long time. Really, the deep assignments came after the flood to come back. And so So the Syrian has always been with me. As I grew older, I left humanity and went into the mountains. I was called into the mountains, the Mayaca Mountains of California. And it's really there. I had no idea. Somebody said, oh, it's the Lumerian treasure chest, but it was truly the place of the High Spiritual Council and the Galactic Star Federation. So, you know, the town that I lived in, Middletown, they were well aware of the star people. Like, oh yeah, yeah. We see them all the time. See the lights. We see the lights. They're very loving people, very kind people. You know. So I started walking in the mountains, and little did I know, I was walking in the land of the Pomo and the Miwok, but the land of the interstellars. And I started seeing, you know, following the ley lines that I had been taught to do. I said, oh my gosh, you know, there's a pyramid laying down. And sure enough, we found the capstone and everything. This is like the megalithic time. I found what we call the megalith, where your watch goes back and forth. It's a vortex, and they had actually built through stone. You could see the stairways, and they had carved a walkway. And if you go down, you enter a cave. So you're in and they sealed different parts. So here we are.
Wow.
But before that, let's just back it up. Before I left, I was down in the cities in San Francisco as an optician. And I worked in the field of neurosensory development, laser in the eyes. I've always been a quantum scientist. But my mother died in 1985. And when she did, I went into a cathartic experience of trance channeling. I just was walking in the woods in Larkspur Landing, in Larkspur, and I fell over, and Meso came into my life. Meso, keeper of the books of the Seventh Council. And my friend, Alan Williams, at that time, he had to sit before this being, and the being just kind of downloaded some of the most otherworldly, other information that was beneficial for the world. And that was the start of almost a 20-year walk with Meso, Chiron, and other godly beings who wanted to translate and download information. So we have this body of work. He taught us so much. But he taught us the glory and the light of the Radiant One. And I believe he guided us up into Middletown. When we got up into Middletown, it wasn't necessary so much to have him channel, although there was a lot of channelers. I did it less and less and less because I had a God force come in. And when you have a God force come into your body and you're not there, that can lift stones and do things, you have to think about what's going on. And so less and less, and more, my eyes open to, my goodness, there's something going on with the star people here. And so we were guided to investigate. We found the openings. We started relating to them. Other people joined us. We had a small group of people that joined us. And later on my own little meditations, the immortals started appearing and started speaking to me. They introduced me to the High Spiritual Council. I was brought into the mountain, Pyramid Mountain. It was like our Winnie the Pooh travel trail. And there I met the council. So that's what I would say.
That's fantastic. Now, we don't have a ton of time. I'm going to have you back, Celestine. Yeah, we've got lots more to talk about. But, you know, I really feel like, I hate to get down to the nitty gritty, but I really feel like, you know, there's a lot of us who have come here to help humanity,
Yes.
raise our vibration. I feel like, you know, that's my job. That's what you're here to do. It looks like, you know, we're all here. Talk about that a little bit, because there is light at the end of this whole tunnel here. I believe the good.
Right. Yeah. So the purpose of Earth is shifting now. They say the dark egg has cracked and the golden light is shining through. What we have after the delving into the DNA with the pandemic stuff, the Syrian Council came to help shut down a lot of this working. We're moving into the end game. And many of us has incarnated, as the interstellar people call us, the bravest ones, because we incarnated into a human seed consciousness, a body, a biological body, and they didn't do it. So they're just fascinated with us. We have information that they need, and they have information we need. So what has appeared is that we have two timelines. One is going over the cliff, and that is still working with control and those people who need to still work that out. And then there's those that are going into elevated consciousness. So those of you who are of elevated consciousness, you know who you are. And I'm so glad to be present with you. It is about awakening to your divinity, that part of you that is wholly whole and divine in your own right. And so you, my dear Nancy, I know are open to that. And so we've come here, and somehow we managed to become healers, counselors. We help people and we serve humanity. It's all about knowing it's for the benefit of all.
Of the
We
whole,
get on
yes.
that constant basis, you are the one. And we're here to help lift humanity and bring humanity into galactic consciousness. We've gone through the baby steps, racism, countyism, naturalism, global, and now we're going to be galactic. Yeah. And so the frequencies are rising, and as they do, we're interfacing more and more with our kin. The celestial healers are here. I'm so excited. There's thousands of them that came from all over the cosmos. They're here to help us. For those who are healers yourself, I'll be doing some more talks on that, but you can ask and request through the High Spiritual Council for a celestial healer to come to you and give you more information or downloads or whatever you need to do your work.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's so exciting. That's right. That's right. They've taken me to the celestial healing rooms. There are beautiful chambers where they lay the person down. They bring you through they take you out of your physical body. Your energy body goes to these places, and they can monitor you and heal you. So you can learn about the true med beds, as they say.
I know. So what do we just ask or what?
You just ask, you go through the High Spiritual Council, just go into meditation, centered in your heart, and just call upon the High Spiritual Council. There's a way that they may bring you up through a flame into the council room, and you get to meet them. And you say, I'm here to be introduced to my spiritual healer who will work with me. I'll give you a name, Shannonar. She's given me permission, Shannonar. And she is with me, but she's here to help guide you. And you can call upon her, and then she will give you the designated one that's for your healing practice, Shalanar. And so,
Amazing.
yeah, so I'm so excited. And I'd love to come back and talk more about that, because
Yeah.
it's a high thing happening on the planet. And yeah.
Thank you for helping humanity. You've done amazing work, and you've been through so much, and you've learned so much, but look what you're teaching us,
Hey, yeah,
Yeah.
we do. I do want to say about galactic origins, if you're interested in knowing why you're here. And they gave us an encoded transmission to take you back to the first time you came to Earth. So if you go to the website Galactic Earth Council.com, then you can sign up for it.
All right. Yeah, I was going to say, tell everybody, first of all, let me just say, Celestine is going to be in Sedona for the Ascension that Suzanne Ross is putting on, and that's coming up March 18th through the 20th. So if you want to meet her in person, she's going to be there. And then also tell the audience one more time, if they want to get in touch with you, how do they find you?
Yes,
Give out
you
your
go
website.
to the galacticearthcouncil.com.
Okay.
And sign up for our newsletters. You could sign up for a go session, a celestial activation, and we are here for you to
God bless.
bring it
That's
home, honey.
awesome. That's awesome.
You'll be there too, Nancy.
I
so-
will be there. I am so
Yes.
excited. Yeah, this is going to be awesome to get to spend time with everybody. So this is awesome. You guys, her book is called The Galactic Earth Council, Reintegration of Earthkin and Starkin. It's amazing. I didn't make it through the whole thing, but there is so much information. She talks about everything that happened. I mean, there's a lot of scientific information in here of what's happened to the earth that we haven't even gotten into today that you
Yeah,
have in this
chapter
book.
11. That's
Yeah.
straight from
It's
the
like-
Galactics. That's
Yeah.
straight from the Galactics. Yeah.
All right, we're going to have you back.
Yay!
Hey guys, we got to get out of here today. But if you want an angel reading, go to my website, nancyyearout.com, and I will be happy to meet with you. You can book your date and time on my calendar. And I pull angel cards every day on TikTok. You can find me there on High Road to Humanity. Celestine, it's been a pleasure. And we will see you soon. You guys, we got to get out of here. This is High Road to Humanity. This is Nancy Yearout, and everybody take care and God bless.
Connect the dots and keep the motion. Can achieve your goal. Let's hit the high road.
Hey, you guys, join me next week on The High Road for more stories filled with wisdom, love, and hope for our future. Have a fabulous week and know that by staying on the high road, you will make it to your destination. Visit my website, nancyyearout.com, where you can book a private session to learn how to tap into your own abilities. And check out my YouTube channel. It's Nancy Yearout's High Road to Humanity.
You can achieve your goal.